Maybe it's not the ending. Maybe we're just in the middle.
We learn the fate of Nicky Pearson and who the future her that Randall and Tess are visiting. So let's break down the mid-season finale of season 3 of This Is Us and find out just what happened. Rise and shine on, you lovely people. Lisa here, and it is sadly time for This Is Us to go on winter hiatus. But don't worry, this mid-season finale just left us with a lot of things to think about during that time period. Yes, it gave us some answers we have been waiting for, but it also left us with even more questions, which is kind of how I feel like it was going to happen. Two big things we learn in this episode is what happened to Jack's brother Nicky and who the her in the future storyline is, and a few more of those future pieces are kind of put together. So before I break down the episode, let's just go ahead and give you the answers to those two questions right now, because I know some of you are impatient. You don't want to hear me ramble through a lot of things before you get those answers. So here we go. There were a lot of theories about Nicky, about, Nicky, killing people, Jack killing Nicky, Nicky committing suicide, Nicky still being alive. If you were one of those people who had a theory that Nicky would still be alive, go ahead and give yourself a big pat on the back and a gold star, because you are correct. As far as the future her goes, it's Rebecca they're going to visit, and I'm kind of getting a feeling we're getting like a Notebook situation, but I will dive more into those theories and all of that after we talk about what happened in this episode, so let's just get started. I'll kick things off with our Vietnam flashback. Nicky, he's not getting any better and keeps isolating himself, obviously still mouthy towards Jack, but he is currently clean and off of drugs. Jack, however, feels like he's not seeing a lot of progress when it comes to Nicky, so he calls Nicky's commanding officer asking for more time. But he's not granted that time, and instead he only has 2 days left to fix Nicky. Fix Nicky is kind of a bad thing to say, but, help Nicky. After some fighting that actually gets physical and Nicky gets a good little punch in there on Jack's face, Jack takes Nicky somewhere to the other side of the water. Now Jack tells Nicky to stay focused on their mission, to stay alive, but Nicky says his mission is just to kill, to which Jack says no, their mission is to stay alive and just get home. Now in the middle of the night, Nicky wakes up and ends up stealing drugs from someone else, and the next morning Jack finds Nicky high on the end of the dock where he's pretending to shoot all of the villagers. Jack tells Nicky that he'll help him and get him clean again, but Nicky obviously does not want this help, and he tells Jack that he's not going to be completing this mission and he should just leave him alone, which is a bit of foreshadowing in a way. Later, when Jack and his men return to camp, Nicky is nowhere to be found, and that's when they hear an explosion.
A boat exploded! I think one of our guys was on it!
Yeah, so it seems like one of their men was on the boat, and all signs are obviously pointing to Nicky and him not completing his so-called mission of, staying alive. Well, to finish this storyline, we have to jump to the present where Kevin and Zoey are in Vietnam awaiting to go to the village. Now, Kevin is getting anxious and he just wants his answers because they've been reined in and it's delayed when he gets to go to the village. And Zoey just keeps trying to tell Kevin that you can't force the endings of documentaries. They're not going to go the way you want them to, because that's life. Not like a movie where you just write your own happy ending. When they finally get to the village, they meet with a local man who was a boy at the village during the time Jack was there, but it turns out he doesn't recognize Jack or the woman in the picture, so yeah, Kevin, his worry comes true. He doesn't get any answers. At least not the answers he's looking for. So Kevin goes back to the hotel. He is bummed, and Zoey tells him that maybe this isn't the end of the story, but they're just in the middle. And those are pretty wise words and things Kevin should listen to. And then they find out they are in fact just in the middle of this whole story, because the man who's been helping them from the hotel, he informs Kevin that he did a little research and that none of Kevin's family members actually died over there in the war like Kevin thought, because of course Kevin thought Uncle Nicky died over there. But this man, he did a search in the database for the war memorial and there were no Pearson names to come up. So of course now Kevin's like, what does this mean? Now this doesn't obviously mean that Nicky is still alive. We don't know what could have happened in between that time period from Vietnam to now. But then we get our answer because we get this scene. So yeah, Nicky Pearson is alive and living in Bradford, Pennsylvania, which according to Google, which I searched is only about 3 hours away from Pittsburgh, so Nicky wasn't living too far from the kids as they were growing up. So now we just have to unravel the mystery of what happened after that boat exploded. But more on that and those theories later. Now when it comes to Kate and Toby, their pregnancy is going well. The baby shows no abnormalities, everything seems alright, and they choose to not find out the sex of the baby just yet. Now the only concern the doctor has is Kate's blood pressure, which is still high, so she's worried about Kate sitting for long periods of time, which Kate does a lot as she drives to her Delagram gig, so she thinks maybe, Kate should maybe get a new job or stop working or figure out some other thing to do. Now Kate doesn't want to give up the job because it's the thing, it's one of her joys and it helps distract her and something she enjoys doing. So Madison suggests that Kate apply to be the new chorus teacher at the school she helps out at. And it seems like Kate is a perfect fit for the job except for one thing. She never graduated college. It seems like she was just 8 credits short, so the principal can't hire her. Now Toby's actually a bit relieved because he thinks Kate should just be relaxing and not working. He also was quick to say they didn't want to know the sex of the baby. And eventually all of this chatter and talk leads Kate and Toby to confront what's really going on. They are both terrified about this pregnancy and getting their hopes up and it not working out, but they kind of decide to change their attitudes to embrace everything, just live it out, and whatever happens is gonna happen. Toby then takes Kate to the community college and tells her she should really finish up her degree, which she is excited about, she's gonna do, and they find out the sex of their baby. They are having a baby boy. So if Jack is not the name, the first name of this baby or the middle name of this baby, I'm gonna be pretty upset. Next up, we head over to Randall and his whole family. So Deja has been back in contact with her mom but hasn't told Beth and Randall yet, but they do overhear her on the phone, so it starts to worry them a little. Now Tess is also still being standoffish with them and they have no idea why. Beth, she's removed herself from the campaign after what happened in the last episode, but she's still being very supportive and wants to help Randall get ready for his big debate. Now on the way to the debate, Rebecca is driving Tess and trying to ask Tess how school is, be that grandma who's being like, tell me how it is, I'm the cool grandma, it's fine, you can talk to me. But Tess is still, just saying it's fine. But as Rebecca keeps prodding, Tess figures out that Kate told Rebecca her big secret. And now Tess really isn't about to open up. After the debate though, Rebecca sits down next to Tess and starts to talk about herself. She tells Tess that as a young woman, she held on to her own emotions and secrets for so long. Like she didn't talk about losing a baby and all of that. She thinks she actually affected herself physically. She started to get these aches and pains in her 20s and they haven't let up. And she has this theory that holding on to all that stuff actually caused her physical pain. And this is something she doesn't want to see happen to Tess. She tells Tess that it doesn't mean that Tess has to, come out and have the conversation she's not ready to have yet, but she doesn't want Tess to bottle up all those emotions and never talk about them and end up being an old woman in pain like Rebecca is. Now, I would just like to know what other secrets Rebecca here is referring to. I feel like we've found out a few of her secrets, but it sounds like she's got a lot of secrets she's been keeping from Randall, from Jack, from a lot of people. So are those going to come out anytime soon? Rebecca's talk does seem to work, and Tess does go to Beth and Randall and tells them that she thinks she likes girls but isn't 100% sure yet, but doesn't want this whole thing to become, well, a thing. And well, let's just say Beth ties with Jennifer Garner's character's speech in Love, Simon for maybe the best response to a coming out in pop culture I've seen this year, especially as far as being supportive goes.
Do you see anything other than 2 people who love you more than any 2 people could ever love anyone in the entire world?
As far as Deja goes, she also comes to Beth and Randall and says that she's been talking to her mom, and her mom lives in Delaware, has cleaned up her act, and has a job and is doing well. So she asks if she can go visit. And I think she's pretty much expecting Beth and Randall to fight her on this and say no, but Beth and Randall say they'll check their schedules and make it work and take her to see her mom at some point. Now, as far as this campaign goes, things are not looking so good. Jay Wan tells Randall to stick to personal stories at this debate and stay away from spitting out facts and numbers, but, well, Randall kind of does the opposite and just gets pounded by Councilman Brown during this debate. Councilman Brown also keeps bringing up how Randall isn't even from there and lives in a pretty wealthy neighborhood and just doesn't belong. When Randall does finally start to try telling his personal stories, about being adopted and all that, it gets off to a slow start because, well, there's heckling from Councilman Brown and Randall doesn't get quite to his point, but eventually he says that he was overlooked as a kid and that's what happened to the district, and so he relates to that. He understands what they're going through, and then he brings up all of Councilman's, I'll look into that from past meetings and responses to problems and all of this, and pretty much says that they should take a chance on Randall because he'll be there to fight for them, and if he has to come plow the snow with them to get a problem fixed, he will do it. Now, while Randall definitely wins the crowd over after this debate, Jae-won informs Randall that the results from the latest poll show that it's pretty near impossible for Randall to get the numbers. He is too far behind, and so basically it is over. Now, when they get home, Beth tells Randall maybe this is a blessing that he lost the campaign, but Randall's just kind of like, wait, I didn't lose yet. This whole thing isn't over. There's still a few weeks left or a month left or whatever it is until the election, and he's not ready to drop out because he doesn't give up. He thinks he can still win this election, and he made a promise to the community. Beth, on the other hand, tells Randall that they have so much going on in their own lives with their girls and their family that he needs to look out for his own family as well. When Beth tells Randall that he promised her that he would stop the campaign if she ever wasn't on board with it, and she is no longer on board with it, this is his response.
And I love you. And this family will always be my priority, but I need to see this through, Beth.
Maybe you can't win this campaign, but you sure did learn how to talk like a politician.
Ouch, yeah, that earns Randall a ticket straight to the living room couch, and then we head to the future, which is now looking bleaker. In our future storyline, Randall asks Tess if she let Beth know they're on their way, and Tess says that she'll call Beth from the car, but neither look too thrilled about having to give Beth a call. We then head over to future Beth, and she is standing there watching some kind of dance rehearsals, and her secretary or co-worker, whoever, comes to tell Beth Tess called to say they're on their way. And then Beth says they're going to see Randall's mother. And then the woman hands Beth the pin the tail on the donkey game from her office that she has to take with her. And that pretty much wraps up the main events of this episode. So before I get into more of the future storyline and trying to figure out, what this all means with Beth and Randall and everything, let's talk about Nicky. We see that Nicky is alive in the present day, and he will be played by actor Griffin Dunn in a recurring capacity when the show returns, and he will fold into more of, obviously, these present day storylines. So from what it looks like, it seems like we could have Nicky faking his own death and fleeing back home, and maybe Jack just thinking he blew up on the boat, or maybe Nicky was actually on the boat, it exploded, he was injured, and then he was discharged and survived and sent back home. And maybe he's suffering from PTSD and wants nothing to do with Jack. So maybe to protect himself and to protect his parents, Jack told everybody that Nicky was dead. And, maybe it's something he feels like guilty because he couldn't save his little brother. I mean, there's a few possibilities here that we'll have to wait to see, unfold. And now that we know that Kevin knows that there's a possibility his uncle is still alive, that's probably going to send him on that path to dig up, whatever he can about Nicky, where he lives. And if he finds him, is he going to find Nicky remembering Jack fondly or not? So do you think that Nicky was on the boat, got injured and discharged, and then just went and secluded himself away from Jack? Do you think Nicky wasn't on the boat and he maybe just faked his own death and just fled and never contacted him, and Jack thinks he's dead, or maybe Jack knows he's not dead but just chose to be like, I can't save him anymore, to me he is dead? What do you think happened with all of that? Let me know down in the comments. But moving on to this future storyline, it seems like everyone is getting together to go see Rebecca. Now, I read one website try to come up with a theory to say that since Beth said Randall's mother, maybe there could be another twist, and by some magical thing, like just how Nicky ended up being alive, maybe Randall's birth mother is somehow alive, but we learned that she was dead, right? But William was on so many drugs, he doesn't remember that day, so, could she be alive? But the thing with that is, why would Beth be bringing Pin the Tail and Donkey for her, and why would Toby be coming along to see Randall's birth mother? That doesn't make sense. It has to be Rebecca, right? But as far as, if it's Rebecca goes, they're all going to see Rebecca. Beth is bringing this Pin the Tail and the Donkey game. That game makes me think that maybe Rebecca is suffering from Alzheimer's, and we're getting this kind of, notebook storyline where they got to tell, Rebecca stories to remind her who people are, or maybe she is just set in a a certain time period and thinks the big three are, still young, or maybe it's just that, it's the big three's birthday and they go celebrate it with Rebecca every year, so they still, for her, are gonna play this game. We're not quite sure just where this was going. Now, in the future, we know that Toby isn't wearing his wedding ring. He did ask something at one point like, does she even want to see me, or something like that. So if it goes with this Alzheimer's thing, did Kate maybe die? Is that why Toby doesn't have the ring on while he's reluctant to go? Does he maybe not want to explain to Rebecca what happened to Kate or who he is? There's a lot of possibilities if they do go, with an Alzheimer's storyline, which I guess we'll have to kind of wait and see. But it feels sad to think that, Kate would be dead, but I feel like they keep mentioning Kate's health issues. This episode, they mentioned the high blood pressure and all of this, and so it just makes me feel like that's towards where it is going, which would be very sad. And something else that's sad is that they're making me feel like love is dead. When those celebrity couples break up, like Chris Pratt and Anna Faris, or I don't know, Channing Tatum, Jenna Dewan, whoever, or like these couples that have been together forever, and then you hear them break up and you're just like, why? I thought you were so in love. Obviously you don't know their private lives, but you get the point. That's how it feels like with Rebecca, or not with Rebecca, with Randall and Beth, right? You feel like they are the perfect couple, but flashing into this future, I'm not getting those vibes, right? Especially because we end the present day storyline kind of with Randall and Beth in a fight, and Beth sending Randall to the couch, and then we go right into the future where it seems like tensions are high. It feels like Randall and Tess didn't even want to call Beth. Beth seems like she doesn't want to go visit Randall's mom. She's not excited about it. So it's giving off this feeling like Beth and Randall are either divorced or separated, and I don't like this. Like, they already know how This Is Us is gonna end. They've already started filming scenes for however it's gonna end, and if this is where it's ending, it doesn't make me happy, unless it means that we're gonna get more of the future storyline of Beth and Randall somehow getting back together. But it just seems like weird, because it's like, if they were together, why would pin the tail on the donkey be at Beth's office? Why wouldn't it just be at the house and, they bring it? Why is Beth keeping it at her office? Also, what on earth is Beth's job right now? Why is she like watching a bunch of dancers? Didn't she like deal with real estate or something, or buying buildings in the city? There's a lot of gaps to fill in here, right? But yeah, just more importantly, This Is Us. Why are you giving us the feeling that this future storyline is going to be much darker and bleaker than originally anticipated? I don't know, but that's all the theories and rambling I have for right now. I just got to give a shout out in this episode to Eris Baker, who plays Tess. I thought she did such a good performance in this episode. We haven't really gotten to see those young kids do much of, anything meaty except, being cute or being bratty. So to see her take on this, kind of very emotional thing. Well, I take that back. Deja's obviously done a lot. But as far as Tess and Annie go, to see, Eris bring Tess to life with this whole storyline, I think it was very powerful. I think she did a fantastic job with it. As far as a promo for the next episode, they didn't really give us a true promo. They were just like, it will return on January 15th and it'll do whatever. But there were no real new scenes. So we're left with, Christmas break to think about what's going to happen. So you guys, I need you to hit up the comments. Let me know all your theories. First of all, what did you think of this episode? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Favorite moments, least favorite moments? When it comes to Nicky, were you surprised that he is alive? Do you think he was on the boat? Do you think he wasn't on the boat? How do you think he got to, Bradford, Pennsylvania? Fill in those blanks. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think Kevin will be able to track him down, and will that go well or not? As far as the future storyline goes, do you think Beth and Randall are on the rocks? What do you think is going on with Rebecca? Where is Kate? Leave me all your thoughts and theories so we can all sit here and, stew on them over this Christmas break. Do that down in the comments. After that, you can hit that subscribe button so you don't miss This Is Us recaps when the show comes back. And you can check out more of my other videos. But for now, I just want to say happy holidays. Thank you for hanging out with me and watching these This Is Us recaps. You guys are awesome. I love talking about the show with you guys. And I will see you when This Is Us returns in the new year. Or with other videos if you watch the other videos that I do. Okay, bye guys!